afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hope all of you had lunch?
Yes, sir.
Great. The topic is nature versus nurture. Quite an appropriate topic for an entrepreneur, right? Or to put it in simple terms, the question is, are entrepreneurs born or entrepreneurs made? That's what we're going to discuss now. I was conducting a workshop on strategic persuasion and negotiation skills in IIM Bangalore many months ago. And I asked the same question, are entrepreneurs born or they made? There was a participant, Dr. Maitri Shankar from Apollo Hospitals. You know what she said? Entrepreneurs are born in Apollo Hospitals and made in IIM Bangalore. So that was a quite a smart response. But as some of the speakers said in the morning, entrepreneurship is not about having some fancy taglines or creating a mission statement or a mission statement. It boils down to some real hard work. And to know more about whether you need to have it internally, like say Dilbar Ambani, for example, they say he's a born entrepreneur because he had this instinct in him. He went to Indian petrol pump and then worked. But even he did not send Mukesh and Anil Ambani to a petrol pump. He sent them to water, right? So I think a good combination of nature and nurture is important. Not everybody is privileged like the Kachi families or the Marwari families or the Chettiar families where it runs in you. Imagine doing business of generation after generation. You have to have extreme talent to become an idiot, right? But not everybody is blessed like this. Not everybody is born to such privileged families. There are scores and scores of people who have done business without that pedigree. So let's hear it from the experts and find out whether it is nature or nurture or to what extent this has to be done. And I'll be happy to please welcome all the panelists on stage. Please give them a very good round. I think you got introduced already to some of the speakers, and some are starting from the back. I'd like a very quick introduction.
My name is Muki. I have failed 7 times before I started the current company I work with, Contractor Square. We are around 100 people, interaction and experience design company. I'm based out of Bangalore, and that's about it.
Are you a natural entrepreneur or?
I am a completely template for failure entrepreneur. So I am a natural entrepreneur, yes.
Hi, I'm Ashwini Rathod. I work as an Associate Vice President for IndiaCo, which is a VC firm. But prior to that, I was an entrepreneur. I started 2 companies, sold them off, and then joined a VC firm. I'm not sure of this topic because I believe that the entrepreneurship skills is from within, but it can be nurtured into something very good. That's my
Yes.
Yeah, hi. My name is Anup Tapari. I run a company called Touch Magics Media based out of Pune, and we are an interactive, like a hardware software company. And yeah, entrepreneurship has been kind of in my blood because I come from Marwadi family. And you can say I'm an nth generation entrepreneur because I don't know really where it started. And you know, it's a matter of wisdom that gets nurtured in the family. And you know, business is something that we hear day in, day out. So I think I will be supporting the nurture bit of it.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Hari B. Hari. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. I've been in the IT space. I run an organization of 300 people with offices in 5 different countries. I also mentor a lot of startup companies and also invest in startup companies. My aspiration is now to turn to be a venture capitalist so that I could work with more and more entrepreneurs. So I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. When we started entrepreneurship, there was nobody to mentor us and guide us. But I think now we have the opportunity to mentor and guide a lot of young people who want to be entrepreneurs. So I always had these opportunities in several institutions to talk about entrepreneurship. I always used to say you cannot create entrepreneurs in colleges. It's just not possible. But Professor Roy Choudhury, Anjan Roy Choudhury, who heads the entrepreneurship cell in IIM Calcutta, once gave me a one-to-one presentation where he showed me what all MIT, Harvard and other people have done and how they have nurtured entrepreneurship. I was not fully convinced, but I will share my views in terms of, who can become an entrepreneur or how you can become an entrepreneur, as we go forward.
Thanks a lot for all the time. I think we'll start with Hari itself. Why don't you tell us about this topic? Are entrepreneurs born or made? What are your thoughts on this?
See, to tell you very honestly, I strongly believe that you cannot build entrepreneurs in a college. It has to come from within, and one has to have the basic instincts in order to become an entrepreneur. But over a period of time, I have experienced and seen so many success stories where there has been immense contribution from institutions. Institutions have nurtured entrepreneurs. So, I'm going to sort of take a very different type of stand on this topic. To me, entrepreneurship is like the Kundalini Yoga, which is present in everybody, right? But it is very difficult to, arouse it. So it's like a third eye, which everybody has got. But it's very difficult. Only some people are able to make it happen. So I would, take this as my stand on this topic.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I come from a very much technical background, so I'll probably put it in technical terms. Is that there is something like learning by experimentation, and there is something like learning by theory or somebody else's experiment, and then building up on top of that. So if you're trying to go the first way, like if you're a born entrepreneur, and if you're doing it without nurturing, you end up doing a lot of mistakes, and then you say that these mistakes were a stepping stone to something better. And you always don't have, like, with this internet age or whatever has happened over the last 10-15 years, the world is moving so fast that you don't have enough time to learn by mistakes. So learning from others' mistake is a faster way to become an entrepreneur. And I think in that case, nurturing is the way. Or it may be like nurturing either through like family wisdom, like the way I was nurtured, or through mentors. Like there were some things that my family couldn't mentor me on because they came from a trading background or they came from a very different background, which like my company is not even related to. So, but what my dad helped me is to identify mentors, or what I did out in the I used to go and meet a lot of people. I used to go and ask their suggestions, or I used to ask for their mentorship, and that is what nurturing is all about. Like learning from others' experience, so that you can build up on top of that rather than doing the mistakes yourself. And like being a born entrepreneur and trying to learn yourself.
So what you're trying to say is just because you've been born into a Marwari family or a Kutchi family does not entitle you to become an entrepreneur. You have to get nurtured with others. So let's listen to your takes.
Yeah, I believe that we need to produce a right ecosystem for the entrepreneurs to evolve. If we see India 10 years before the current scenario, there were so few of the entrepreneurs. Like now, because of the internet, internet and the books coming up, magazines coming up, the entrepreneurship word as a buzz has been spreading around. Like you guys are listening because you must have heard of entrepreneurship or something. 10-15 साल पहले सब कुछ नहीं था. So it's not कि हर आदमी के अंदर एक feeling दबी होती है. So we need to find it out when the spark should come out. So it all depends on the ecology and the ecosystem which is around that. I come from a very, my father is a professor in automobile engineering. So you can imagine कि मेरे घर में entrepreneurship क्या होगी. कुछ नहीं. लेकिन when I came to Pune, मेरे साथ 10 जो हमारा ग्रुप था, हम लोग 4-5 थे, we used to discuss entrepreneurship. We used to discuss stories about entrepreneurship. तो फिर वो अंदर की जो अंदर दबी हुई भावना होती है ना वो बाहर उमड़ के बाहर आ जाती है. Then you start realizing that this is the thing I want to, you need to experiment with yourself as well. What do you actually want to do? Down the line, when we are born, some films देख के करते हैं, Papa, I want to become a police inspector. Then you want to become an engineer because you hear a story a lot about ITNs and all those things. Then when you end up being in a corporate environment, you end up being I want to become a Narayan Murthy of the world. So your goals changes, but you know at the end of the day what you actually want to do. So if the spark is through an entrepreneurship, go ahead for that. That's my take. I don't support any of the ideas in between the two, it's from within or it's being nurtured. I think it all depends on the ecology or the ecosystem which is there in that system. Look, US में क्यों होता है? Because there is a system in there. वहाँ पे, we have VC firms, we have angel investing to support entrepreneurship, so that somebody takes a plunge, we have somebody to fall back. Come on, तुम आगे जाओ, मैं पीछे हूँ तुम्हें खड़ा करने के, support करने के. So that gives you, आपके अंदर का जो fear है वो हटाने के लिए पूरा system बना के रखा है. इंडिया में वो system develop होना start हुआ है. That's why entrepreneurship is all becoming up. NEM, TIE ये सब पहले था ही नहीं, तो कोई करता नहीं था. That doesn't mean that हमारे parents कभी entrepreneur बनना नहीं चाहते. So it's all depend on the system. That's my take.
Are you also saying that we now have role models?
Yeah, that's probably that.
Yeah. Because Narayan Murthy, I don't think he was from a business family. Both his parents were school teachers. But now that he has become a success, he's shown us that they really make money legitimately and without any unscrupulous ways. I think now we have a lot of role models from the most unlikely breed of entrepreneurs there are emerging. So I think maybe role models, system, as you said, yeah. But yours is a very interesting case. You said you failed several times. But please remember, for an entrepreneur, this can be very, very disheartening, because there will be enough people to tell you, I told you so. Right?
But he believed in himself.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's very, very interesting to see how you manage it.
I personally feel that you are born, that's about it. After that, you've got to define your own path, right? So we are all born. I don't know whether business comes from DNA, but of course, Marwari family, Chetia family, they are all fantastic. I still believe, I have learned something from that, which is every day I have a small chip coming to me, and it says how much money came in, how much money went. It really works, which we call it in management terms daily fund flows, right? So, in my opinion, if you look at, let's.
It's also called MBA. No, wait, Marwari Business Academy.
Absolutely. So, I come from a family, I don't think anybody was a businessman before me. I remember my grandfather had some pretty cars and buses, but then everything failed there. After that, I've never seen anybody doing business in my family. My mom always said that I should pick up a job and like my brother, and then settle down in life, right? So I think entrepreneurship is an interest. You want to do something, and however it is, you will find through the journey, you will find the path. So it is not an institution or a mentor who's going to help you. I agree with Anup, right? Anup, that mentorship is very important. Mr. Hari can tell you much about how Tai and Eni and like what he said is very important. So you must understand two things, in my opinion. If you want to do something, you do it, right? So you don't have to go to the B schools for that. But if you go to the B schools, then your learning curve becomes shorter, right? So it's not, the gestation period is not going to be too far. But I think these schools can never teach you, or any schools cannot teach you how to fail. And they will not even teach you that, or they cannot teach you in that circumstances when you fail, how do you have to come out of that. So I think it's like an animal instinct you have inside you, right? So I would support that Dhirubhai Ambani, because recently I went through statistics which said that in India, out of top 100 CEOs, only 5 of them are from top B schools. So, there is world of opportunity out there. and you got to pick it up and move forward. So I would say that it's a natural instinct that you want to be an entrepreneur. You look at something or a situation changes you, like he said, and you want to do something in your life. You want to keep on trying. Failure is part of life. When you go out, you fall. But then, like Rajinikanth once said, the difference between a successful person and a not so successful person, he said that it's about when you fall, you've got to decide whether you want to be a horse or an elephant. He said, I chose to be a horse so that I can get up faster and move. Both fall. So I go with it. Okay, thank you.
So I think all the four panelists are saying that it is okay if you're natural, it's okay or you may be gifted, but I think you need to get yourself nurtured to become an entrepreneur. Am I right? Or what factors do you require for nurture? Yeah.
No, I think the context is very different. To me, entrepreneurship is a way of life. Now, a way of life one can choose in various forms. There are some people who are born like that, and there are some people who want to be like that. Entrepreneurs have to fail. If you don't fail, you are not an entrepreneur. There is no entrepreneur that I know of who has not failed, including
Mr. Hari, maybe you have to hold it closer because the size has gone. Hold it really closer.
Yeah, I'll just repeat what I said. To me, entrepreneurship is a way of life. So it doesn't matter how many times you've succeeded, how many times you've failed. By being an entrepreneur, you really enjoy yourself. You never feel tired. That is what is the... Am I audible in the last? Yes, sir. So, entrepreneurship is a way of life. So, I am an entrepreneur. I enjoy my work. Whether I succeed or fail, it's very important to others. But to me, every failure is a ladder to a success, to a new success. If one door closes, there are several doors open. So, success and failure are two sides of the same coin. But entrepreneurship is about enjoying yourself. It's about realizing what is your core area of competence and doing something in which you never feel tired. So it really doesn't matter. There are many things you can be nurtured for, in terms of grooming. We all learn from others. So we meet so many successful people. And we see so many people who have failed and again succeeded. So we learn a lot from them, and that is a form of nurturing. So I am influenced and inspired by so many people. But a first generation entrepreneur is a different person compared to a person who becomes an entrepreneur from a business family. For example, yesterday, Mr. Rahul Bajaj, his son, was saying that my father and me, we just don't agree on how to do the business. And he has transformed the whole business of Bajaj into a different form. So he's an entrepreneur of a different type. But when you look at it, if you don't know him, and if you don't see how he thinks and what he has done to the business, you would think that he's a guy who's been born with a golden spoon. He has not done anything in the business. He's just inherited what his father has done. But yesterday I saw that he's an entrepreneur of a different class. He has the family background, he's from a business family, but he has absolutely transformed the way the company used to think traditionally into a world leader. Now this is what another type of entrepreneur is. So I think first generation entrepreneurs is what we are talking about. First generation entrepreneurs definitely are a different breed than people who come from family, because they've always had the family support. There are many people who have fought with families, business family, they fought within the family, gone out and they again started a new business right from scratch and built it up to multi-million-dollar enterprises. But everybody gets nurtured or learns. So this is the topic, I would say is, you can talk either way, this way or that way. But
entrepreneurship is a way of life. That's what I want to tell you. It really doesn't matter whether you're born or whether it is nurtured.
Yeah, I think he made a very valid point about Bajaj. You know, they built their name on scooters, and today, like Rahul Bajaj and Rajiv Bajaj says, they have stopped manufacturing scooters. And I remember the classic statement Rahul Bajaj made. He said, "You can't play with emotions." And Rajiv says, "I run my business on logic, not on emotions." And Rahul Bajaj said, "If I want to be on the board, I better listen to my son, otherwise I'll be thrown." I think entrepreneurship is more about adapting to changing situations rather than sticking on to some things which you've done for the past 100 years. Otherwise, there's no business for title to be in the jewelry business. They got into precision engineering, and this is a completely different range of business. But then coming back, putting the focus back on the nature versus nurture, I think your job is to meet a lot of entrepreneurs day in and day out, isn't it? Actually. So what are you looking at from an entrepreneur? Are there any telltale signs that you're looking at? Or do you insist on business family as a heading?
You know what? I have a different definition of entrepreneurship altogether. I believe that entrepreneurship is all about what you want to do on day-to-day basis and what you love to do. Like, I know somebody would be crazy about music and they listen to this lecture and they want to start a business. Then they're doing injustice to themselves. If you want to be a sports star, be a sports star. If you want to be a music star, be a music star. So it's about doing the thing you love. It's not always about entrepreneurship. I believe that's my personal view. It's not always about business. It's about the way you want to do it. जो आप करना चाहते हो उसे ही करो. जिसमें आप खुश रहोगे. That's the entrepreneurship. I think Sachin Tendulkar, Shah Rukh Khan, Rajnikant, they are one of the best example of being an entrepreneur. They always wanted to do the way they want, the thing they wanted to always to do. तो वो किसी और मीन से आ रहा है, it's not about them, but they're doing it ना, पैसे तो कमा रहे हैं, they made a name for themselves. So it's about जो आपके अंदर है, जो आप करना चाहते हो. It can also be a job. It can also be a job. If you want to do something if you want to do day in day out, then you can do that. That's my thing. और हम लोग जब देखने जाते हैं तो like when we meet somebody, see that if that spark is there for him to transform the business. Is he really capable enough to run the business? Because as I already told you in the morning that business models do change. But if the guy has spark to run the business, he can do the wonders for that. And he can change market scenario, market economics change. But if the guy is capable enough to run the business, then that's what we look. I think that's the major thing we look into. The spark.
I'll probably differ on this part that you're always you should do what you really like to do, because if you're an entrepreneur, you have to do everything. Basically, I'm going to say a CEO is a sweeper of the company. Like he's sweeping all the dirty things that are around. Like somebody has an issue, you are the person who is going and solving that issue. So you're doing dirty job which you probably are not built for or you don't like to do, but you have to do when you become a CEO. Where as a professional musician, maybe that may not be the case. Like you're always playing music or something like that.
Yeah, I agree on that.
As an entrepreneur, you have to do everything.
Because you will do that because that's the thing you want to create. अब हमारा बच्चा होता है तो बच्चे के हम हर काम करने को तैयार हैं. Because that's our baby. We love that. We love her. तो उस तरह से चीज होती है ना. When we fall in love with anything, entrepreneurship is all about falling in love. अगर आप but don't make it a हाँ भाई मतलब important. I want to make this point. जैसे इतना आप कोई भी business start करते हो, don't marry that business. Keep it to a girlfriend stage. You can leave it and move forward. Last time we invested in a company, the business was not doing fine, and that guy was passionate about that particular technology. And he said, "Boss, हमारे 2 करोड़ रुपए घुस गया, आप क्या टेक्नोलॉजी का इसका करोगे?" So we have to move on. So entrepreneurs need to understand where to exactly leave their passion and move on. So it's about, as he rightly pointed, he failed 7 times. It takes ball to fail 7 times. Seriously.
So, 52% of people in India are self-employed, right? So, not even 1% of them have gone to schools. So would be schools. I'm just saying it may not be 1%. But then I agree with what Mr. Hari said, way of life. I think way of life is because entrepreneurship doesn't mean that it's going to be fun and it's going to be, you're your own boss. As Anup rightly said, you've got to keep sweeping every day. But I think most important is what Mr. Senthil said is adaptability. You've got to adapt yourself very often, which is every single day you've got to adapt yourself, right? But what I want to tell you is that, if you don't want to marry and move forward, then you're looking at the exit strategy, right? So I completely disagree with the concept of exit strategy, because when we come here, and I go talk to many of the VCs and angel investors, they're all good friends to me, and they talk about what is the exit strategy. I say that I don't have an exit strategy. So you need to understand one thing, that if you're looking for money from outside, it is very important for them to get returns of their investment. In a span of, they look for 3 years to 5 years, right, in your firm. So it's very important for people to get return on investment. If you think that this is going to be your life, then don't ask for money. You're going to put your own money. For example, in Pepper Square, I put my own money. I've never asked anybody for help. And you use credit cards, you use this social, you ask friends, family, everything, but I've not asked money from anybody. So, but I'm okay to go fall and again get up and build a business on my own way. Right? I don't have plans of IPO or anything, right? So this year we'll become a $4 million company. We earn around 40%, maybe 40% profitability with whatever we earn. That's a lot of money, right? So the point is that what you want to do, it is not about B-School, it's not about whether you have to adapt. You can adapt even though you don't have the ability to be an entrepreneur. You can adapt, right? So it's like vegetarian, one day you like non-vegetarian, you try a couple of times, then you cannot let go of chicken, right? So that is the way it is. So you get used to certain things, right? So it's a way of life. I completely agree with Arvind that you have to understand that there is a tremendous amount of hardship involved in entrepreneurship. It is not easy. When you get up every day, you cannot sleep. The time you realize that it's going to be on 31st, you have to start thinking of paying people, right? So something, the toilet is not working, there is nobody for you to start the work. You got to go fix it. There are many times I clean the toilet of our office, right? So I don't even think twice. I'm sure Anup and everybody does that. I'm sure it's No, that's the truth. Because you take pride. You are very proud of what you do. You don't have to. There is nothing called, do I have to do this job? You can ask them. So you do all kind of stuff. It's very easy for Ari to say that what he has achieved today. But if you go back to what he would have seen, because today I feel that in my case, there is a lot more opportunities. In this case, I'm sure you would have struggled even more harder. There wouldn't have been electricity at that time. Even we had that issue, right? So today, for you guys, you have fantastic opportunities. You have UPS, you have generators, you have everything, right? So the simple, basic, things which make you succeed was not available once upon a time, right? But it was not possible yesterday. So I think that it's an instinct. So I will just go back and ask that I told you guys yesterday when the boy went and asked Vivekananda, I have a conflict between my mind and heart. What do I do? He said, listen to your heart. He said, how do I listen to my heart? It's the instinct. So the instinct, many of you asked me questions even yesterday. I have so many passion, what do I do? Right? So you got to go try it. You got to go fall. If you can get up faster, like he said, you can have many girlfriends, that's fine. You can get out and then move on. So it's very important to listen to what he's saying, but not in a literal sense in your personal life. Because that can be a scary proposition for you. Right? So
I think one point Kashmir made, I agree with even 10%. In fact, a lot of practicing entrepreneurs have told me that you should not fall in love so much with an idea or a concept that you refuse to let go. I think it's very important for an entrepreneur when to let go and when to quickly adapt. I don't know if you've heard of a song called Gambler. I don't know who wrote that.
Kenny Rogers. He
says life is like playing a game of cards. You should know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to run, and when to walk. I think that is an important skill in business, especially what decisions do I take. Many times I have regretted why I didn't pull out of it earlier. I feel that if I pulled out of my business a bit earlier, maybe I would have reduced my cost. But this is all hindsight.
But knowing when to do what judgment, I think, is a very deep quality of entrepreneur. You want to say?
I think I would like to add something to that because I'll probably tell a secret of the Marwadi family is about nurturing. Like as he rightly said, even this person like Bajaj, he has to like start from scratch. Nobody is given a silver spoon. Like same happened in it happens in Birla families. It happens in any Marwadi family who is into business. I myself I have worked on the in a workshop environment, fixing carburetors, learning how to fix carburetors, and I have worked in my dad's factory actually on the floor and done everything from sweeping to handling the IT systems and things like that. And this is probably what MBA doesn't teach is sweeping floors, and that the fact that you have to handle everything, and that is something that you learn only by being on field. In Marwadi families, it is nurtured by the parents or the family itself. In other, if you are thinking nature is nurturing it, I think it's probably a mentor or it's more of an ideology or a philosophy that you are born with, and that is basically nothing but the instinct that you don't care whether you have to sweep the floor, and that really gets you down there, and then you can rise up from there and become an entrepreneur. I think that is the skill that you see in all the entrepreneurs.
I believe somebody asked, I have so many passions, what do I choose? What would you like to tell those people guys?
Before that, I would like to make some observations. Some very, very, interesting statements have been made. See, Marwadis, many of you think are very successful businesses. But let me tell you, all my friends, my entire surrounding is full of Marwadis. I deal with Marwadis day in and day out. And they've got a very, very big problem. They've got a very big problem. Don't think that it's just whatever you've heard, that perception is the real thing. The real thing is very different. Today, a Marwadi young guy who is coming out of college or wants to pursue his passion, he's in a very, very bad situation because his father or parents or family wouldn't allow him to do that. That's number one. Because the parents are not tuned to the modern ways of doing business and modern ways of doing entrepreneurship. I have to counsel so many people, so many fathers, and tell them that, let your son go. Let him pursue his passion. Don't push him here, because he'll be a big failure. And many people have listened to me. Many people have not listened to me, but subsequently they failed and came back. So don't think that Marwadis are very good traders. Traditionally, they have been nomads, so they are very good traders. That's my, general statement. I don't want any Marwadi to take offense because I really love them. And I'll tell you in my next session, whatever I'm going to talk about, there I'll tell you, because I've done a lot of research in this space, so about communities and about characteristics, so I'll share some of my thought processes with you. I don't agree with the point that you have to treat your business like a girlfriend. Your business is a very serious thing because other people are going to put in money. So it is a marriage. Marriage, the objective of the marriage is to create a sustainable business, a market share, and value to your investors and to yourself. So as long as you are able to achieve that, you can let go the business, as long as all the stakeholders agree to that. Business is not done for investors, I'm sorry. Investors cannot dictate how I do my business, because investors cannot run a business. Investors don't have the guts to run a business. They stand on your shoulders to see beyond you and advise you. But you are the guy who has to actually make the business. You are the person who has to multiply the money. So please don't get carried away by thoughts that, investor is everything. No. Today, if you have a good proposition, there will be 20 investors behind you who all want to put money. Because there are very few investment options available, especially in the growing space. I meet so many private equity funds, so many venture capitalists, so many investors. All of them tell us, badhiya deal, big size deal. Because there are no deals, there are no big deals. Whatever deals are there, they are all getting overvalued because 20 funds are chasing them. So the business is done by the entrepreneur who pursues a passion. There are other people who come and join, share a vision, and they go and reach somewhere. And at that time, the business required money, they have taken money from other people, and other people also want to go. There will be new people who will be coming in, and then the business will go on. So it is not about creating a business which is dependent on a person, it's about building an institution. So you must not treat a business like a girlfriend or your passion like a girlfriend, you must be very committed, because unless we see commitment in an entrepreneur to die for his business, you will find it very difficult to invest money in that entrepreneur. So that's one point. I think, many of you have talked about the marketing business. I'll talk about it in my next session when I do it, because that will give you a different perspective about how you look at life and how entrepreneurs should look at life.
So I think Hari's wisdom speaks there. I kind of agree with what he says. I also wanted to tell you that I met IDG founder. IDG is one of the largest publishing houses in the world. The founder is Pat McGovern, right? So Pat is, he's a 24th billionaire in the world. So I had an opportunity to have a one-on-one with him for almost 30 minutes, almost a month ago. And Pat said that he's one of the first Americans to move to China and start investing in China, which he did 2 decades ago. So Pat said he invested in 350 Chinese companies, okay? 350 Chinese companies. And I asked him a question. So how do you differentiate between the Silicon Valley model, which is a VC-driven model, which is fabulous work so far, and what do you think of the model which is in China and India? And this is what Pat has to say. He said that out of 350 companies that invested, 330 are still surviving in the last 2 decades, which is a alarming rate of great, success rate, which in America, out of 10 companies, not even one survived, right? So they are all VC-funded companies. So he says that I was coming from me being an American, so I moved back to China one day. I asked my fellows in IDG Ventures, give me 10 top companies which failed. And I want to go meet the founders. So he did that, he started going to meet the founders. So he met one of the guys. He said that, hey, we gave you $3 million. You were supposed to be dead by now, like 10 years ago. How come you are still surviving? He said, I sold my house. Then Pat asked him, how come? He said, I have started this because I want to die for this idea. That's exactly Hari said. I think you should give a round of applause for Hari. If you don't have the ability to die for what you do, you will never make it. VCs can fund a lot of money, but next time they will not. They will think 100 times to give you money, because it's not about failure. I rarely come across my friends who have taken VC money, then the VCs have put in money again. Unless until the VC is married to that guy. So otherwise it's not possible to do that. So I would say that I go with what Pat said and what Hari said. You should be able to die for your idea. Otherwise, first of all, why do you want to start? You have come to, I spoke to so many of you, more than 90% of you said that I have come to IITG because I want to be here. The question I asked them, Sandil, was, did your parents force you to come here? And none of you guys said that. Right? So that is important. You want to do something because you want to do it. You want to make it happen. Right? So I want to give it to Ashwini, so I want to know what his thoughts are. It's kind of getting very interesting.
Actually, what I said was in context that you can change your idea. It's not about that, marrying and self-intending. It's not like you leave the business and run away. VC also won't allow you to do that. It will chase you to the The thing was, if something is not working out, it's foolishness to hang around for 10 years for that. That's what my bent was. I'm not saying that you start anything and you hang around till then you must yahi karna hai. Nahi, agar nahi kaam kar raha, you think practically think. If not, something is not working out.
I'll just interrupt here. You've all heard about MakeMyTrip.com. Right? It is one of the most resounding Indian successes of money getting multiplied 25 times for their investors. MakeMyTrip.com is almost 14 years old. Within this time, number of times many people came and told them shut down the business. They didn't do that. So what is right and what is wrong is absolutely relative. At that time, if Deep Kalra had shut down the business or sold it to somebody because the travel industry was going through hell, you would not have had this history called MakeMyTrip.com from India. So I don't think that you can generalize these things. These are very contextual. For example, Steve Jobs was kicked out of Apple and then he went to start Next. And because of Next, today we have the iPad. Most of the technology technologies that Apple has today is because Steve Jobs was chucked out. So there are a number of cases, where things have happened. So you cannot generalize these type of things. These are very, very debatable. But you have to have an open mind for everything. Entering and exiting at the right time is very important for every business. Now VCs also make mistakes. They either take a stake at a very high valuation, or they get a company, underfunded because the company suffers. So nobody is God here. So everybody makes mistakes. And what I'm trying to tell you is, it is a joint decision of the investors and the shareholders in terms of when they should exit, how they should exit. It cannot be that you exit because somebody told you to exit. It is because everybody has got a different perspective.
It's very subjective.
Yeah. So I think you gave the answer correctly. You have to know when to exit also. You cannot be foolishly tied down to some idea just because you're having that passion, because you must learn to adapt, and that's what he says. And it cannot be generalized. You have to deal it on a case-to-case basis. But let's learn from others' examples, and let's also
I'll quote something which Rajiv Bajaj said yesterday. He said an MBA should be master of business adaptation, not business administration.
I want to add a thought. I met Deep Kalra in the last TIE summit in Delhi, and I asked Deep, can I have your email ID? He said, you have an idea about travel? It is only dp@makemytrip.com. So his focus is very clear. I wanted to tell you, even today, Make My Trip doesn't make money, but they are $1 billion, the first in India's $1 billion IPO, because the travel 45% of the travel across the world is going to get originated from India, which is 5 years from now. So that's a huge business for Make My Trip, and they will make tons of money 5 years from now and not today. So you all should understand that there are two ways. One, you can make profitable ventures like Pepper Square. You can become only 100 people, or you can create the next MakeMyTrip.com and make billions of dollars. So you have to define. And as Hari said, nothing wrong in doing this, because this is what you want to do. I don't want to take money from VCs because I want to try it. But the next company I invested called Jade Magnet, and we are valued at $3 million, and we have 4 investors there. So that is a model which is taken over by somebody else, and I'm only an investor there. So I think it depends on what you want to do. There is no right or wrong. You should go with what your heart says.
And it's all about finding your own strength. And I think that's very, very important. In fact, for students, I would suggest you must pick up these 2 books. Not that you will learn by bookish knowledge, but Marcus Buckingham wrote an eminently successful book called Now Discover Your Strengths. He says most of us waste our time talking about our weaknesses and not about our strengths. Now this book became a remarkable success. Then the audience went and said, I found out my strength, what do I do now? Then he wrote a sequel, go put your strengths to work. I thought that was very logical. At the age, I didn't read these books when I started my business. At 45 years I realized that I had a passion for speaking and training. But then I put that to work. And I think much later, I learned from him that this is what you're supposed to do. Are you good at a particular subject? Do you have the passion? Do you have the strength? Then you read, live and see. And that is what you want. See, today, at 2 o'clock, you ask me to get up and give a training program. I do not feel I'm doing a job. I enjoy doing this. And the greatest compliment that I've got from my training session is not that CK is a fantastic speaker. I see one of the professors said it is obvious that CK enjoys talking about communication. I said, thank you so much. If you can give that image that you enjoy what you're doing, whether you're sweeping the floor or trading consumables or commodities or VCs, I think that is what will define entrepreneurship. I think that's what is important. Now, enough of us talking. If you have some questions to the panelists, you have some very erudite inputs, maybe a quick question about whole 50. Oh, sure. Thank you so much for being on the panel.
I would like to address the question to Hari sir.
Hari, yeah.
As a point of controversy, obviously, that it is, I guess, when you've given it all, and what particulars, there has to be a point after which it is foolish to hang around. So when to abandon sinking ship? Is there any? I mean, there are a lot of examples that have illustrated that hanging around can be successful also. But there are also numerous examples that illustrate that it's foolish to hang around after a certain point.
See, you were born naked. You go back also naked. Right? So it depends on how you enjoy your journey. So if you feel that you have had enough, just shut it and go somewhere else. If you feel no, I should pursue it. For example, take Vincent Van Gogh. During his entire lifetime, he didn't make any money, which after his death, one painting sold for millions of dollars, right? So, this was his fate, or this was what he wanted to do. He wanted to paint and he painted and painted and painted for that. That's it. So it's pursuing your passion. So if you feel that you have enough, take a decision. And it's very subjective to say, no, you must shut it or you must not shut it, because it has to be very contextual in terms of what you're talking about. For example, if you found something better, because everything where you have failed or not reached your objectives, it's a big learning. Success cannot teach you that kind of learning, what a failure can teach you. So that you should learn from that, and then you should feel that this much to be pursued. But you should not be foolish. You should not be foolish. But, whether somebody is a fool or not, only time will tell. Because even in history, if you see, there are so many people who went with the hypothesis, and towards the end of their life also they could not prove it. But subsequently somebody else came and proved that this was right. So, everybody called them a fool during their entire lifetime, but actually they were found to be geniuses subsequently. So there is nothing absolute about all these things. It's all very contextual and related.
I think IDEO, a firm started by Stanford Technology, and then professors, Stanford University, has a nice motto: fail faster, succeed sooner. And that's the core of entrepreneurship. And I think you're making progress if every mistake that you make is new one, not the same mistake. Yeah, any more questions? Yeah.
I just had a question. So we were talking about entrepreneurship and how one should be very, very passionate about, your own ideas. But there are many people who open many companies. You start and then in the next 25 years or 20 years, you open something like 5 or 6 companies and you sell them off subsequently. And you again open a new one. So why do we see this kind of a nature also in entrepreneurs? Because if you're passionate about something and you started it, you do well. I'm talking about the people wherein the companies do well and still they sell it off to start something else. So why is it that we see this nature as well in entrepreneurs? And why don't they stick to one idea and then work hard on it so that it goes on growing further? Why do you have to sell your idea and start a new one and then again sell your idea and start a new one?
Because it's a lot of fun.
Basically, it's like sometimes you just would you like to do engineering for 10 years? So, 4 years are enough. So, same way in entrepreneurship also, sometimes you work on an idea for a certain amount of time. You get that business to a level, and then that business will grow further on from there. Maybe your skills are at starting a better business, which would probably make in more money. And whatever you have earned out of this, you want to invest in something better, and generate a better revenue from there. And it's a matter of scaling. That's the reason people start multiple businesses.
I think that itself could be a business model. Think of Siva Shankaran of Sterling Company. I think he's a serial entrepreneur who specializes in picking up companies, bringing them to some level, and then making money that he would have imagined. So maybe that is also a very nice business model which others may not be, proficient in. The ability to identify good opportunities has been his forte. So maybe that's his strength.
And it's also the fun of learning new things. Many times, basically you are doing something for a particular amount of time tends to get boring. So, just to get out of it also, make people start thinking of new ideas. And maybe these new ideas are not relevant to what you are doing presently. So it might be just a pure business decision that you want to start it off as another company. Or, even Microsoft, you see so many ideas. Maybe, or even in Apple, you see a mobile phone company started by a computer company. It's totally irrelevant. It's a different product line. It's a separate business unit, but under the same brand name. Some people do it under the same brand name, some people do it under different brand names. But it's a standard entrepreneurship cycle. Or as there is a terminology for it, serial entrepreneurship.
I would say that See, today if you ask me to start a services firm, because Better Square services, I would never even start. So the new companies which I've invested, they're all product companies because I'm tired of services companies. Because I'm looking at, focusing on one thing at a time, then scaling it so that customer service is the most important criteria in that. So it doesn't mean that services company, you don't need customer service, you equally need it. But product companies has a different DNA in it. So if you ask me, I will never start a services company again. So I agree with Tarun that it's the excitement of doing something new. And as Senthil said, Shiva is a great guy and he started with Shiva PC. I don't know how many of you have heard of. And he is the first one to come out with one PC for 1 lakh at that time. Less than. At that time it was 1 lakh. A PC was costing 1 lakh. So he's the first one to come out with the 1 lakh PC. And he had bookings for almost 2.5 years.
And I have seen Shiv Shankar driving a bicycle in Chennai when he had nothing. Right? So there are many great success stories like that. But one reason I will tell you, I sold one of my first internet company in 1998 to a national listed company. Because I sold it why? Because I could not scale. The idea was very good. I had great market. I had great customers. But there was no way I could sort of roll it all over the world. I needed muscle power for that because of which I had to sell. Otherwise, somebody else would have come forward and taken away the whole idea and gone. So there are many reasons why you would have to sell a business at a particular point of time.
So great. I think we've reached the end of our discussion. I will only amplify what Mukund said as just to bring this to a conclusion. As far as the nurture is concerned, only babies are born. I think everybody else can be developed. I think all other skills can be nurtured. It is very few that are fortunate to be born into business families, God bless them. But then, all others need nurture. Some are really privileged, but there are others who come from different backgrounds. They can definitely learn either from life or from these schools or from entrepreneurs. I think that as Hari put it up very well, that spark or the ignite or the passion has to be there. If that dies down, then no God on earth can save. Thank you so much for this.